Genau.
What's up, guys? KAMIKAZE-FOX coming to you from IRL, International Racing League, Season 7, F2 tier, Round 9, Germany here in F1 2019 on the PS4 platform. I'm KAMIKAZE-FOX, and I've got Formula 1 driver Eric Penton with me in the booth today. What is happening, Eric?
How's it going, Lance? I'm very excited. First time guest, long time viewer, big fan, and I think we're going to have a very interesting Grand Prix ahead of us right here in Germany.
So speaking of which, from a driver's perspective, optimum strategy today heading into the Hockenheim ring.
There's two strategies today. For the top drivers, I would suggest go to medium and hards, and drivers who can't qualify the top 6, I would suggest take a risk, put the soft tires in qualifying, hope that the safety car will come in the first 6 laps and gain positions doing that. But for the top drivers, it's mediums to hards. Very easy, very easy.
And it looks like we've got 16 drivers for today's Grand Prix. We're going to do an 18-minute short qualifying session followed by a 50% race. And we'll recap round 8, which was last week at, I forget which track that was.
Silverstone.
Silverstone, that's right. It was wet for qualifying. Joe Hollis walked away with his first pole position of the season. While it was a 1-2 Racing Point finish, Luis Wassman picked up his first win of the year. Can Vilhoen came home second. It was his 4th podium of the season. Nola picking up his maiden podium in IRL competition. Kevin Harrison was 4th. Joe Hollis fell from pole to 5th. Sam Thompson was 6th. Championship points leader T. Jonas was 7th. Second in points, Ryan Hareen was 8th. Sean O'Sullivan was 9th. And Dylan Jenkins, the newcomer making his IRL F2 debut last week, came home 10th with a championship point. 11th through 14th was Bjorn Langfeld, V8 Field, Rowan Lakely, and Jared Fosbury, while 15 through 17 were all DNFs, and that was Paco Suarez, Jamie Griffiths, and Eduardo Merida. And for Merida and Griffiths, that was their 3rd DNFs of the season, and unfortunately for Paco Suarez, it was a league-leading 5th DNF of what is a very short Formula 1 season this year. So it looks like we've got a couple of drivers heading out on track. We'll get some.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Like you said, we have few drivers going on the track. Joe Hollis with McLaren, as you said, first pole position. When driver gets good momentum, he's able to continue his streak. And then Sam Thompson, midfield driver with Renault out on the track with the mediums. Very surprised with only. Okay, we have 2 drivers with the soft tires, so some drivers are gonna qualify with the softs.
And it looks like we do have a couple of drivers, as you said, heading out. It looks like Kevin Harrison and Sean O'Sullivan, Nelson Santos, and Jamie Griffiths all going to try the soft tires. Now, we did see LR Blaze leave the session and might be trying to come back. That is the infamous Harry Cooper, who has now changed his name more times than I can count. So he's now LR Blaze, as opposed to LR Cooper. Different name, same driver. So we're going to pick up Sam Thompson. He's going to be the first driver on a hot lap. See what kind of time he can set in the Renault on the medium tires.
Very good Sector 1 time with mediums, 15 and 7 usually. That's a very good Sector 1.
And Jared Fosbury on the live chat letting us know that he is going to be on the wheel again today. He's trying to work on his wheel craft, switching over from a pad driver to a wheel driver. Last week was his wheel debut. Oh, and Dylan Jenkins is retired from the session. What happened to him? He didn't even get to set a time.
I believe he retired in a corner 1, where Valtteri retired in 2019 Grand Prix. So corner 1, he lost it and hit the wall, and that's his qualifying over.
That's a shame. First corner very deceptive on this track. It's you can take it quicker than you think, but also not as fast as you think. And it calls out a lot of drivers. A lot of drivers are going to go 4 off there and probably invalidate their times. And as always, I think timing penalties here are going to be a factor at the end of this race because of it.
Yeah, definitely. As we have Sam going to the across the line, setting the fastest lap. But yeah, the one who will win the race today will be the one with less penalties. So you have to be very careful of the corner 1 in this race.
So Sam Thompson sets the first time with a 1:12.381. Jack Mia coming across the line with a 1:13.190. So he's about 0.8 off of Sam Thompson's time. We'll pick up Canville Hoon in the Racing Point. Oh, and Ryan Hareen, second in the championship point standings, comes across to set a new time, 1:11.897. So he's the first driver to crack into the 1:11s as we ride along with Canville Hoon, starting his first hot lap.
And we have Jamie with the softs going to P2, so Williams going through a lockout at the moment, but he's with soft tires.
And as it stands, the point standings are T. Jonas, who I don't see in the race today.
He's not racing here today. I talked to Jared before the race and he couldn't make it, so Hjalbo Thunveld didn't make it for the race, so this gives Kevin Harrison and Ryan Hurin very good chance to catch up to him.
Wow, that is going to be very... because the championship point standing is actually relatively close between those three, and they're all mathematically still in it. Obviously, T. Jonas being the points leader, but coming off of a 7th place finish last week, Harrison was able to close up the points gap a little bit. Ryan Hurin finishing in 8th, though, losing a little bit of ground in the point standings. But with T. Jonas not here, both of those drivers, and Wassman's going to dive into the pits, so that was a ride along for no good reason.
Yeah, as you said, they're going to have very good chance of catching him because I have the standings open and the gap is only 34 points. So imagine like if Kevin Harrison and Ryan Reeves are going to win the Grand Prix, they're going to get 25 or 26 points. It's going to be only 8 or 7 points after that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. That's what we want. We want an interesting championship fight till the end. That's what the viewers want.
Now we're going to give a little bit of a shout out to Chipsman Country. Or Chipsman Crunchy, that is James Yock making his debut for the season. He was subsequently banned for half of the season because of his actions last season at the final round at Brazil, where he was a moving roadblock for most of the race, and his actions on track banned him for half a season. So he's making his Season 3 F2 debut here. And he's already set a time of a 1:12.960, good enough for 7th. We'll pick up Sean O'Sullivan, currently in 6th, running in the Red Bull today.
Very fast driver. Last season, in the last 3 races of F2, he got 3 podiums in a row, but now he's a little bit struggling and he's heading to the pits. But very fast driver in a good day, but he needs more consistency.
Once again, I pick up another driver heading to the pits. It's going to be Austria all over again. We're going to get more footage of cars diving into the pits.
And this track being medium to hards, so people are just waiting for that last chance. But I'm very surprised that only Jamie has set lap on softs, because safety car will appear 60% of the time in first 6 laps. So I'm really wondering for the slower drivers not to go on softs. I'm really wondering the thing. Nobody's taking the risk.
So we'll pick up Jared Fosbury. Looks like he is on a hot lap. Currently 9th quickest at a 1:13.391. He's rocking the Mercedes today. He's now subsequently put himself as a reserve driver for the rest of the season as he tries to hone in on his wheelcraft. Doesn't want to be a full-time driver until he's a little bit more competitive. Obviously, he was a Formula 2 champion a couple seasons ago. Season 5, which was the first season for the F2 tier. So Harrison, the defending F2 champion.
In P1 with softs.
Oh, and he just went to the top of the charts, 1:11.689. Gets out in front of his championship contender, Ryan Hareen. But not a lot of difference in time there between the softs and the mediums between those two drivers.
No, it's a very, very small gap and only shows that how short the track really is. And the gap between mediums and softs, I think, is only 45 tenths. So 4, 5, 6 tenths. So if you're a fast driver, you can still qualify on mediums. But I suggest softs because safety car first 6 laps.
So Jared Fosbury does improve his time by 0.3 of a second, but unfortunately it does not improve his position. He is still 9th quickest overall. And it looks like we've got a couple other drivers that are going to be joining in late. It looks like Cameron Armstrong is going to be in here, and Jamie Griffiths. Looks like he's left and come back in the session. Might be having some internet issues. Got a yellow flag, sector 3. And Jamie has rejoined the session. We're going to watch Canville Hoon on a hot lap. Coming off of his 4th podium finish last week. Good day for Racing Point last time out. They've been very fast in qualifying all season.
Yeah, when you put 2 Germans in the same team, miracles do happen. They are the fastest drivers in Formula 1, well, except if you don't count Sebastian Vettel. And, you know, apologize for Vettel fans.
Well, Racing Point opened up the season. The first 3 rounds were all poles for the Racing Point team. Luis Wassman had 1 pole position to his credit. Canville Hoon had 2, and that was just in the first 3 rounds of the season.
Yeah.
Since then, though, it's been Ryan Hareen all the way. He's been really a qualifying master. He picked up his first pole back in Monaco in round 4. Then he was able to pick up 2 more at round 6 and 7. And then last week it was Joe Hollis with a surprise pole position. Unfortunately, Hollis not set a time yet so far today.
No, and Can be Hoon, apologize if I said it incorrectly, goes P1, beats Harrison's time by, with my quick math, 61 thousandths of a second, so it's really close between the top 3.
And the top 3 drivers all in the 111s. Ryan Hareen, though, looks like he might have a little bit more left in the tank because he's going 111.897 on the medium tire, so.
Yeah, and he's about to start his lap.
And he is actually out on the, well, it says mediums on the, oh, that's because I have it set to best. We'll go with what's fitted. Now everybody's on soft tires. There we go.
Hey, everybody's listening to the strategy I gave them, so,
And James Yock goes 3rd quickest. That's a little bit of a surprise to see him that far up into the charts.
Yeah, a little bit. Last season, always fighting for P9, P10, but I guess he has had time to practice with that season ban, so he's come more stronger back through IRL. Moment 2, more stronger.
And we're currently watching Ryan Hareen, who's now dropped to 5th quickest because Sean O'Sullivan just set a 1:11.717, so times are dropping. 7 minutes left to play in the session. And it looks like Hareen's just gone fastest in Sector 2. He's coming around the last corner now, see what kind of time he can set. He's fallen to 6th quickest and back to the top of the charts with a 1:11 flat.
Very good time. That was sexy. That was sexy.
1/10 quicker than Canville Hoon. I don't think Vilhoon is on the gas. We'll pick him up. And he's 1.3 off of his previous time, so he's going back in. Kevin Harrison looks like he's in Sector 2 on a fresh set of softs.
But of course we don't know if the race going to be raining, because yesterday we had a dry qualifying, but then we had heavy rain in the race, so we might have drivers who are with their wet setups, and we have some drivers who might be running with dry setups, but we do not know what's going to be the weather for the race.
And Harrison is 2/10 up on his previous time as he gets ready to come over the line here, see if he can improve his position. And he does go 1:11.5, puts him up into 3rd. We talked to Kevin Harrison a couple weeks ago after one of his podium finishes, and he definitely said that he could benefit greatly from a wet weather race. He's definitely showed some wet weather prowess last season. Always seems to run a really good wet strategy. Definitely a rainmeister as it would be. So a wet weather race would definitely benefit him, especially with T. Jonas not in the race today. I mean, it could be a huge opportunity for him to close that points gap and defend this championship.
I definitely, if it's going to be raining like we saw last season, Kevin Harrison is probably one of the quickest in the whole league when we go through intermediates or wet. So if it's going to be raining, he'll be the one to watch here today. And for Kevin's sake, I hope it's going to be rain, but for an entertaining sake, if it's raining, it's going to be more entertaining, of course.
And Jarrett Fosbury just came across the line. He improved his time by 0.6 of a second. He's now down to 1:12.399, but unfortunately still only 10th quickest, as the top 6 drivers are all in the 1:11s and only separated by 0.7 of a second.
Small gaps. Only shows how close in the level these drivers really are.
So we're going to pick up Nelson Santos in the Alfa Romeo, currently not set a time, classified in 13th. See what he can do as he's out on the softs as well. So still waiting on Joe Hollis and Harry Cooper to set times. Hollis currently on an out lap. We'll pick him up next, last week's pole winner. See what he can do here in the dry here at the Hockenheim ring. And of course, Nelson is going to dive into the pits, so that was all for nothing. So Joe Hollis in the McLaren, getting ready to come around and start his hot lap. We'll ride along with him.
So it's going to be one-shot qualify for Joe Harris.
So we're going to ride along with Joe Hollis. And just how hard is it as a driver to navigate this track? Because Hockenheim has obviously gone through a lot of different configurations over the years. It seems like it's a very wide track, then it gets very narrow, then it gets very wide again. Does that affect the racing line as well? Does the racing line do the same thing?
I believe, to answer to your question, if you survive corner 1 and then you survive corner 11, the stadium section where Vettel made his mistakes, then you can survive the whole track. So there are only like 2 corners in the whole track in a game, which is difficult. But of course, we have to remember the game is not completely realistic as in real life. So in my opinion, in the game, if you survive corner 1 and this corner where Joe Hollis is now corner 11, you're going to make a great lap because the rest of the track is very easy. Very easy, like I'd say, like easy to drive. Very easy to drive.
And we see Hollis went flying by Herren making way for him. We'll see what kind of time Joe Hollis can set. And he's a 1:11.538, so he puts himself up with the front runners, good enough for 4th quickest. We'll pick up Ryan Herren because he is just now starting another hot lap. Provisional pole for him with a 1:11 flat so far. Luis Wassman currently on an out lap, so we'll pick him up next, see if he's got anything in the tank for Ryan Herren. And Herren is already up 0.2 of a second over his previous time. That's going to break him into the 1/10.
That would be already Division 1 times, 1/10.
So it almost looks like the track conditions are perfect for these soft tires. The sun is shining, track temperature is good, tire temps are good.
Yeah, very beautiful, beautiful track. Ryan Reeves, I apologize, I still, Ryan Heron, very good sector 2. He's about to do about 1:10, 1:06 time, which is very, very incredible in Division 2. That's unbelievable.
And Luis Wassman has come on the live chat and said that the full race is going to be full wet. Don't know if he's just pulling our strings or if he's giving us an actual weather forecast. But Ryan Herren goes 1:10.729, and that is a huge gap. That is a flyer of a lap. And there's a huge gap between him and Luis Wassman. So we're going to pick up Wassman. Wassman's currently on a flyer as well, but he's only up on his time by about 0.07 of a second.
Yeah, I can see him improving by 3 to 4 tenths in the last corner, and he lost it there. That's it. He's not going to be pole position. The track extended way too much, and 1:10.9.
Wow, 1:10.9. So Wassman finding a little bit more speed in the car as well. We'll jump to Canville Hoon next, because Canville Hoon in the other. Oh, and Joe Hollis is retired from the session. 40 seconds left to play. He probably figures he's not going to get much more out of the car than the 1:11.5, so his time will be locked in.
Yeah.
Currently watching Canville Hoon in the other Racing Point. See what he can do. His Racing Point, is, as we talked earlier, showed a lot of prowess earlier on in the season. With their qualifying efforts, they've shown great speed. They've been a good team in the Constructors' Championship to try and beat.
Yeah, when you have a good team, you have a teammate who is capable of doing in your same level, both drivers in the same level, so then the results are going to be usually really decent.
And here comes Vilhoon across the line. Ooh, 1:11.079. That does jump him up to 3rd, and that is going to lock him in at a 1:11 flat. Jack Mee is done for the session as well. His time is locked in at 1:13.190.
We have Kevin Harrison in the lap, sector 2.
Harrison will pick him up. Looks like he's off of his time. Sean O'Sullivan locks in at a 1:11.371. Good enough for fifth so far. We're currently watching Kevin Harrison coming through the last couple of corners. And does not look like he's going to improve his time. Well, he does a little bit. 1:11.351 moves him up to fifth. Harry Cooper did finally set a time here at the last minute. 1:11.554. Good enough for seventh. Looks like Ryan Hareen is calling it a day. He's going to dive into the pits. We'll pick up James Yock. He's going to dive into the pits. Jared Fosbury into the pits. It looks like he just got in front of one of the Red Bulls. I'm going to assume this probably looks like the Red Bulls are both off of the pace here, so yeah, I think that's going to do it. So wait for these cars to come back around.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be heavy rain because that explains the only reason why people are doing the laps on soft. So I don't think Lewis Wassman was pulling our strings. I think it's going to be heavy rain like yesterday in Division 1.
So that's going to do it for the 18-minute short qualifying session. We'll get ready to jump into what should be a very exciting 50% race. So your pole sitter, Ryan Horan, is taking another pole position. Luis Wassman will be starting in second. Canville Hoon in third. Sam Thompson jumps to fourth at the last minute. Kevin Harrison will be starting in fifth. Sean O'Sullivan is sixth. Harry Cooper seventh. Joe Hollis is eighth. James Yock is ninth. Jared Fosbury does move up into 10th. Thomas Mumford is 11th. Jamie Griffiths is 12th. Nelson Santos in the 13th position. V8 Field 14th. Jack Mia is 15th. And Dylan Jenkins did not set a time. He'll be starting in the 16th spot. And we also had a couple other drivers join mid-qualifying that didn't get to participate, so they'll be starting at the rear of the grid. Any predictions heading into today's race?
If it's going to rain, like Lewis Wassman said, Kevin Harrison is going to win it. If it's going to be dry, then Ryan is going to win it. But I'm going to say if it's heavy rain, then Kevin Harrison by 20 seconds. From Ryan, and then P3 is going to be Joe Hollis.
And as you can see, the great equalizer has shown its ugly face here at the Hockenheim Ring in Germany.
Mate, we're going to have a great race. We're going to have a very interesting race. Like, there's not going to be a boring point. We're going to see crashes, blood, sweat and tears, dead bodies in corner one. I'm very excited. I'm like a small kid waiting for a Christmas toy. This is everything what I've done.
And for what it's worth, I do a lot of league races as far as commentating goes, and it seems like the Hockenheim Ring, it doesn't make for great racing in real life, except for last year's Grand Prix in the wet. But it has been an unbelievable track to participate in online with some of these other leagues. It doesn't seem like I've ever had a boring race at the Hockenheim Ring. Doesn't matter if it's wet or dry. It just seems to suit the drivers for some reason. I wish it was that way in reality as well.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they need to add sprinklers to Formula One. The Hockenheim race is only interesting in wet, so Bernie Ecclestone sprinkler ideas.
What if Bernie Ecclestone's crackpot ideas to liven up the show?
Hey, they would make it interesting one day. He's a little bit crazy, but hey, you need a little bit of craziness in Formula One.
So let's run down the formation lap. Ryan Horan is going to be your pole sitter. That is his fourth pole position of the year. We'll see if he can hang on to win this race. Luis Wassman coming off of a huge win last week. It was his first win of the season. We'll see if he can do it again. And Canville Hoon starting in the third spot for Racing Point. They've been strong all season, coming off of his fourth podium of the season last time out. And Sam Thompson's really come to life here in the last few rounds, showing that he's definitely got some speed in that car, qualifying fourth. Kevin Harrison, the Rainmeister, will be starting in fifth. I look forward to him working his way through the field. And Sean O'Sullivan's been quite a scrappy reserve driver. He's actually in the top 10 in points, even not participating in all of the races this year, so good on him. Harry Cooper will be starting in the seventh spot. Joe Hollis, last week's pole sitter, showed some speed in qualifying last week in the wet. He might be able to do it again today in the race. We'll see if he can work his way through the field. And James Yock making his F2 debut for the season, I should say. It's not his debut, but it is his season debut after coming off of that half-season ban from last year. Jared Fosbury, once again, it's his second week in a row. He's trying to learn how to use the wheel, and he's had to do it in wet conditions. Thomas Mumford will be starting in 11th to see if he can work his way into the points, along with Jamie Griffith starting in the 12th spot. Nelson Santos will be starting in the 13th position. We'll see if he can work his way into the points. And V8 Field had his debut last week. He finished 12th. See if he can work his way into the points. And Jack Mia will be starting in the 15th spot. Dylan Jenkins, who did not set a qualifying time, will be starting in the 16th position. He made his debut last week. Unfortunately, he did finish in 10th. He did pick up a championship point. We'll see if he can do it again. And Cameron Armstrong, who did not qualify, he joined the session late. He's starting in the 17th position, rounding out your 17 drivers for today's 34-lap event here at the Grand Prix of Germany.
So, ladies and gentlemen, buckle up your seatbelts, take everything you want from the fridge, take some water, beer, whatever you have to do, but do not miss the start. I'm just gonna say, do not miss the start, guys and girls.
So definitely should be a very interesting race. We'll wait for the 5 red lights. Well, at least we're getting them on the starting grid. Lights are out. It's time to run what you brung, and they're away slowly but surely. And a good start by Ryan Hareen and Luis Wassman, losing a spot to his teammate Canfield Hoon on the outside. Deeper in the field, we've got cars side by side and 3 wide heading into turn 2. Oh, no, and the Ferrari is off. That's James Yock, I think. Oh, and it's Cameron Armstrong getting a love tap from behind. Looks like that was Dylan Jenkins that got into the back of him. Sam Thompson has fallen from 4th all the way down to 8th. Harry Cooper's up to 6th already, and they're heading down into the hairpin. And this is a cluster going on back here midfield. 4 cars, 5 cars wide. Sam Thompson's still struggling. And there's all kinds of contact, wheel-to-wheel banging, some shoulder checking, some argy-bargy going on between everybody in the back there. Jared Fosbury has dropped from 10th into 13th. And Joe Hollis side by side with Thomas Mumford, the battle for 7th.
Neck and neck.
Trying to keep up with everything that's going on around the track here on this opening lap. And they're still side by side. Unbelievable driving. Now this section here, you can't go side by side because the track is very narrow.
Yellow flags.
Oh, yellow flag, sector 3. That's Jared Fosbury.
That's Fosbury, yeah.
Off into the gravel. Looks like Jack B is not going to be participating in this race. Looks like his car is in the pits. Looks like James Jacques was involved in that as well. Nelson Santos diving into the pits. Dylan Jenkins diving into the pits.
And of course we don't know, does the track dry out, but it's not possible to do this race without a stop. Intermediates can do 16 laps, and after that you're going to have to make a pit stop. Like you learned yesterday in Division 1.
So back out in front, we've got Canville Hoon, who's worked his way into second. Looks like he's closing the gap down to Ryan Hareen. Really closes up on him under braking there. Hareen gets a little bit better drive off than Vilhoon. And we've still got Joe Hollis and Thomas Mumford still battling side by side for that 7th position.
This is beautiful fighting. It's not healthy. It's not healthy going side by side every single corner.
Ooh, it looks like Mumford blows the corner, opens the door up for Hollis. Hollis dives in. So now Sam Thompson's going to set his sights on Mumford for that 8th spot.
Yeah, and in the front.
Back in front, we've got Vilhoon through the stadium section. Trying to keep up with Ryan Hareen. Tiptoeing coming out of that last corner. And Vilhoon just ran the fastest lap of the session, 125.166.
Of course, these drivers have to remember that I would suggest for Can, Vilhoon and Ryan not to fight each other because it allows Louis Wassman and Kevin Harrison to keep up with them. So I suggest them to slipstream each other and switch positions in straight line so they could pull away from the rest of the field, and then later on they can decide who's going to win and who's not.
Now, from a driver's standpoint, do you really think they're going to do that? Oh, and look at this! Oh, no! There's contact between the two racing points! Vilhoon blew the corner. Wassman tried getting in there way too deep, and he ended up clipping his teammate, and he caused left front wing damage. He's lost the end plate, and now Harrison's going to set his sights and try to get around the wounded car of Luis Wassman.
Big damage, big damage. He has to pit. He's losing out 1 second. Yeah, he's lost a tremendous amount of end plate. And Kevin Harrison going side by side, and should be easy maneuver. I
think he was trying to let Harrison go by. He ran very wide coming out of that corner, but Harrison didn't have the speed to make it happen. And because of that contact, Vilhoon has now lost time to Ryan Hareen. Hareen has pulled out to over a second. on Canville Hoon.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like Louis Wassman is pitting, so he's trying to keep up with that broken end plate, but we saw it was a big carnage, big end plate loss for Louis Wassman. So,
and you can see it's actually bottled up the cars behind him. He's now got 3 cars that have closed in on him. Kevin Harrison, Sean O'Sullivan, Harry Cooper. Basically a 4-car battle for the 3rd spot.
And now Louis Wassman holds up these drivers, and Canvey Hoon and Ryan can pull away from this field, and this train is going to be big. And now Canvey Hoon and Ryan just are going to pull away from this train.
Oh, and this is Harry Cooper looking to make a move to the inside of O'Sullivan. And now they're side by side coming out of the hairpin. Cooper's going to take the position. Good move by Harry Cooper.
Beautiful overtake. Beautiful.
And props to Luis Wassman. He's hanging on to that car. Oh, no, and Harrison with a big slide. Almost lost the back end of the car altogether. Trying to get that power down. I think he's getting a little frustrated getting stuck behind Luis Wassman's wounded car. He knows the top 2 front runners are pulling away.
And I've been calculating this lap. Louis Wassman has lost over 6/10 to the first 2 drivers, so it's very crucial that Kevin Harrison and the rest of the field are going to be able to overtake Louis Wassman. And there's an old saying in Formula 1, if one driver gets past the slow car in front, then everybody's going to get past him.
Well, Wassman just ran wide coming out of that last corner. Harrison's going to have, I thought about it, but he's going to tuck back in line.
But as a driver with many experience, I think Kevin Harrison lacks the killer instinct of a pure dive bomb. He has to be more aggressive, more determined, and has to make the positions where it counts, and that's why he's not leading the championship this season like he was last season.
And Harrison actually lost a little bit of time now. Harry Cooper's closed in on him.
And as I said, Kevin Harrison is not determined enough, and it looks like Harry Cooper might dive bomb him.
It looks like he thought about it. Oh, and Harrison blows his braking point. Cooper's going to get to the inside, and now they're side by side coming out of the hairpin, and it's a drag race down to the next corner. Harrison on the outside, Cooper on the inside. Harrison hangs tough, but he's got a big moment of snap oversteer. Saves the car. That was a great save because he almost took Harry Cooper with him.
Harry has better line. No. Harry has better line for the next corner.
And now Harrison's struggling. They're still side by side. It's not going to work here through the treacherous turn 11. Harrison's going to lose that spot.
And as I said,
and Harrison loses the back end again. It looks like he might have had a little bit of a tap there from O'Sullivan.
Yeah, he needs to pull his game together now. The championship leader not racing here today. He has to make the maneuvers when it counts. He has to be more aggressive, like we saw from Harry Cooper, and that's how you overtake in this game.
I wonder if the pressure of the championship is finally getting to Kevin Harrison as this championship season winds down.
Well, I think it is. That was a very good question because last season we saw that Kevin Harrison he didn't have a championship fight last season. The championship was given to him. He was driving alone, winning, and now it's a little bit different. He's fighting against somebody, and
here comes Harry Cooper to take over the 3rd spot. He gets to the inside of Luis Wassman. So Cooper able to do what Harrison wasn't able to do and get around the wounded car of Luis Wassman, and that puts him into a podium position.
Killer instinct. You have to be determined. You have to have big balls, determined. And that's how you make overtake maneuvers happen. If there's a 1 second slower car ahead of you, you should be able to overtake him at least in the next lap. You just can't stay behind him. That's idiotic.
And Canville Hoon is now closing the gap on Ryan Harine. His battle for the lead is starting to heat up again. He's made up about 0.4 of a second over the last few laps. We've got a yellow flag sector 2. Looks like it might have been a quick on-off for somebody. But Canville Hoon closing that gap now. It was 1.3, 1.2 a couple laps ago. It's now down to 0.7 of a second. And he just ran the fastest lap of the race again. And Harry Cooper just ran the fastest lap of the race. He's the first driver to crack into the 124s.
Yeah, but the gap is 4 seconds. It's very difficult to catch that in this period of time because the drivers tend to slower faster than each other. So 4 second gap is very big in raining conditions.
And Bjorn Langfeld just came over to live chat. Wanted to say good luck, guys. Unfortunately not on track with us today.
Kevin Harrison on the move on Louis Wassman.
And Harrison finally getting to the inside of Wassman.
Wait.
But Wassman getting the power down. Looks like he's got a little bit better drive off than Harrison does. And he's got to tuck back in line again. Oh, that is disappointing for Harrison. And again, you can see Wassman is just stacking up the cars behind him. And Harrison, I think, is a part of that problem at this point.
I mean, if Kevin Harrison can't get past Lewis Wassman, it's going to affect the drivers behind, because drivers behind can't get past Kevin Harrison then. So Kevin has to make the maneuver, and as he does, he follows my guidance and makes the maneuver stick. Beautiful overtake.
So back in front now of Wassman. So Harrison moves into fourth, but Sean O'Sullivan now, he's going to be next on the hit list to try and take over Luis Wassman in that wounded car. And Joe Hollis is now a part of this fight as well.
I suggest Lewis Wassman to pit. This is no-brainer driving with 1 second slower car. He's going to be outside top 10 very quickly. I suggest 2 stop for him in the race today.
Yeah, and that's kind of a hard thing to weigh out, how much time you lose on track versus how much time you lose in the pits. But it looks like it's really affecting Wassman at this point. And we're back to the battle for front. Cam Vilhoun is all over the gearbox of Ryan Horan. They're going to go side by side down into the hairpin. Horan's going to take the more defensive line. He's going to make Vilhoun go to the outside. Oh, and the battle for the lead is now on for sure, as these two almost swap positions there.
This is good for Harry Cooper. If these drivers keep fighting like they are now, Harry Cooper will definitely catch in the next 7-8 laps and be in this battle.
Well, and Cooper is taking chunks of time out of this lead, because that was almost this 4.5 second gap, and he is now down to 3.1. You see him just coming into frame there. It looks like O'Sullivan has now just got around Luis Wassman, so Wassman loses another spot. Harrison up into fourth, with O'Sullivan up into fifth, and it looks like we had a yellow flag sector 2. Looks like that was possibly the Ferrari of James Yock, and it looks like he's had some issues. He's got the end plate is gone on his right front part of the wing. Meanwhile, back to the battle for the lead. Vilhoun and Horan still running first and second.
Harry Cooper losing a little bit in the last corner, but of course, let's see how can Vilhoun and Ryan Hiwis are gonna continue this battle. Ryan Hiwin, I mean.
And Bjorn Langfeld asks a good questions. Do the points that the reserve drivers get for the race, does that count towards the Constructors' Championship? And I honestly don't know the answer to that as we watch Vilhoun try and go to the outside again.
Well, doesn't look like these drivers have agreed to any kind of slipstream help. They're finding each other very hard. So my analysis of this, because we do that a lot in Division 1. We talk to each other, let's use slipstream.
Oh, and Sam Thompson! Looks like he's gone off somewhere.
Safety car. That's a safety car. That will be a C.
Virtual safety car. Sam Thompson looks like he's gone off at the hairpin. And we ride on board with V8 Field, and yeah, you can see, oh yeah, he's way off of, looks like he lost it under braking, so he's well off the course. A virtual safety car. Now, virtual safety cars don't seem to last very long in this game. Does anybody take a gamble and pit under the virtual safety car? I mean, the top 2 front runners are coming around pit road now.
Only if you have damage, but if you don't have damage, you just stay out, because usually it's easy one stop.
Oh, and Harrison just picked up a 3-second time penalty, so that's insult to injury. Currently running in fourth.
Yeah, but I was like saying before that in Division 1 we talk to each other. If you're in a battle, we say we switch positions for a lap or 2, and then we start slipstreaming each other so we don't drove behinds are not gonna catch us, so that's what we do actually in Division 1, so I thought maybe these guys are smart enough to do that, but apparently they were entertain us with good fights, which is good actually.
Oh, well, now Jamie Griffiths has retired from the session. What has happened to him?
I'm trying to follow it. Retired in the pits, I think.
Okay, so Griffiths retires into the pits. It looks like he was struggling with the car today, so he'll call it a day. Meanwhile, the battle up front continues, and just a touch on Sam Thompson. That's unfortunate for him. He's had a good string of runs put together. Back in round 6, he was able to scatter up into 10th and get a point there. He finished 7th at Austria and then finished 6th last week. So he had a good string of runs together there, putting points on the board for Team Renault, but unfortunately he is out of today's race.
Very unfortunate for him, but as a league racer, you have to remember you have good days, you have bad days, and when you get that momentum up, you get self-esteem, but you have to remember you can't have every single time a good race. And when you have those bad races, you just have to forget it, focus on the next one, and try to be as consistent as possible. Do not touch anything in your rhythm, don't touch anything in your schedule, anything. Just keep at it as you did in the previous times. Usually that helps.
And, oh, big moment there for Cam Vilhoun. Looks like he caught that sausage curve at turn 1, almost lost the back end of the car. And Harry Cooper has now got that gap under 3 seconds, 2.678 heading into turn 2. So he's closing the gap to the leaders. Harrison quietly running in 4th. Sean O'Sullivan quietly running in 5th. Luis Watsman has now fallen to 6th. And Joe Hollis has not been able to close that gap. He's within a second, but he's not closing down on him. Thomas Mumford running in 8th. Cameron Armstrong is 9th. And V8 Field will round out your top 10 points paying positions for today so far.
By the way, did you see what Cam Vilhoun just did? He was looking for the I-bomb, but then he backed out of it. He realized that Harry Cooper is catching very quickly, so he has decided that he's going to stay behind Ryan Hireen and try to make sure that Harry Cooper is not going to catch up quickly to the P1 and P2 drivers.
And we'll see if he plays ball that way, because now Cooper's got that gap down to 2.1. You can definitely see him in frame now. He is coming with a head of steam.
Coming, yeah. But he has to always remember, be consistent, to not overtry it, because when you're catching 5, 6 tenths each lap, you're going to put pedal to the metal, you're going to put more pedal to the metal, you're going to add a little bit more risks, and usually then the mistakes happen. So you have to remember, even though it's catching, you have to keep driving the same way. You do not add any risks, just change fuel, change EOS to low, and in corners, and then in straight lines, put it to widths and high ends.
And Dylan Jenkins and Nelson Santos having a bit of a scrap, and around goes Santos. Looks like he tried making the move at turn 11 and might have gotten clipped trying to get to the inside. I don't think that was a good spot to try and make a move. Yellow flag sector 1 and 3. Looks like we've got, what is that, the Ferrari? Is that James Jacques? James Jacques having issues again in his Ferrari.
He's taking mediums.
I
mean hards. He's taking hard. He thinks the track is ready for hards. He's waiting for the track to dry out.
I believe I'm going to say that is probably just a mistake on his part. A lack of running.
The rain is still going down. The rain is still going down. So that's a typical Ferrari strategy. If the computer says Ferrari strategy at its best. So and yeah, he just lifted off and is in a safe area now.
Yeah, I think he probably went for an unscheduled pit stop, didn't make sure the tire strategy was set correctly, and looks like he is pulled off at the hairpin.
Lewis Wassman is going side by side with Joe Hollis. Sorry to interrupt. Joe Hollis and Lewis Wassman side by side. And
Hollis to the inside at the stadium section. Wassman trying to hang tough on the outside. And a 5-second time penalty for James Jacques for exceeding the track limit, so that's another knuckle in his back. And Harry Cooper just ran the fastest lap of this race at a 1:24.2. He's closing that gap down. He's now a second and a half back in the battle for the lead. Hollis just moved into the 6th spot. Oh, and Cam Vilhoun running in 2nd just picked up a 3-second time penalty. So now that is going to affect the front runners. Yellow flag sector 2 and 3. Again, that is going to be James Jacques trying to work his way back into the pits.
Yeah, who's already lapped, and we know if the safety car comes in this game, you're not allowed to unlap yourself, so his race is pretty much over. Will the safety car come or not? So save fuel, save engine, retire the pits, try again next time.
And he just picked up another 10-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits. Obviously a mistake on his part. I don't think he intended to put the hards on, but obviously the rain is still coming down at a very good pace. I mean, there is a little bit of a racing line, but I wouldn't say it's a dry line in any aspect of the word.
I don't think so, not ready enough. Definitely 15, 16 more laps. The rain is still coming down, so that was quite unfortunate on his part that the team put it hard tires on him.
Harry Cooper now 1.1 back from this battle for the lead. Now, from a driver's perspective, the conditions right now, I mean, would you stick with intermediates or would you swap over to full wets to see if there's more time and traction to be gained from that?
I'd stick with intermediates because you still can see a little bit of that dry line in racing line, so that means it's intermediates time still, so the rain is not heavy enough. I think it's going to be intermediate still. When you see those black things disappearing from the track, then it's going to be time for wets. But as long as there's a dry racing line, a little bit either, then it's intermediates.
And Harry Cooper is on the gas. He is now closed down this gap. It's not going to be a
James
three-way battle.
I apologize. James Yacht was in the middle of the track, stopped his car, but now he's driving again.
Looks like he's got back in and back out. He swapped back over to the intermediates, but his race is really falling apart here. So three-way battle for the lead. Ryan Hareen leading the way in the Williams, Canvahoon in the Racing Point, and Harry Cooper has been the fastest guy on track since the get-go. Has finally caught these guys, run them down, see if he can maybe get by them for the lead of this race. But lap 13, it's now a game of chicken. Does anybody try and pit first to switch over to a new set of intermediates, maybe get the undercut?
I think P2 driver and P3 driver are going to make the undercut because the leader can't react what drivers are going to do behind. So I think Canvahoon and Harry Cooper might do 2-lap undercut on Ryan Hareen. So it's always difficult for the leader to do the undercut. The leader usually reacts what people do behind. So yeah.
And the pit window is now open. You said it was about 16 laps where you would want to switch these over. So really starting to get to that window on lap 14 here, or lap 15 of this race.
Yeah, and we have first few drivers pitting. We have Louis Wassman and Cameron Armstrong pitting and taking probably the new intermediate. So I think next lap the top 3 is going to come to the pits.
And Luis Wassman probably should have pitted long ago. Lost a lot of time and position on track. And, Harry Cooper's left the session! Oh no! Internet problems for Harry Cooper!
And do you know what this means? In the rules of IRL, you're not allowed to rejoin back if you disconnect. So his race is over.
Oh my goodness. Unbelievable. And that's right. I forgot about that. I know that there's a few leagues that I do commentate for. You can join back, but because of the corner cutting glitch, IRL is, when it says he's rejoined the session.
And I know the rules. I was told the rules a long time ago. If he returns back on the car, he's going to get disqualified from this Grand Prix. So Harry Cooper has now been disqualified from this race. If we're just going to look at the IRL book, plain and simple. As Ryan Heron, Ryan Heron, I got it correct this time. It's a little bit pulling away from Canvahoon, but now Kevin Harrison has a good chance to take that P3.
So, for all intents and purposes, Harry Cooper is essentially, even though he's back in the car, disqualified from the session.
Yeah, that's true. He's disqualified because you're not allowed to rejoin back if you disconnect. Like you said, the corner cutting glitch. And in Germany, you have that corner one where you can corner cut massively and gain a lot of time. So, very unfortunate for Harry Cooper's sake.
So that essentially puts everybody a spot up. So Kevin Harrison effectively running in the 3rd position. We'll have to get some, I don't know, the only saving grace would be if for some reason Harry Cooper does get a corner cut time penalty. Would be his only saving grace, but
well, we have to discuss what the owners of the league and the admins like Jared Forsberry, Sondre, and Brandon Glover are going to say about that. But we've seen Aaron Collingwood in Division 1 doing the same, leaving and rejoining back, and didn't matter what he said, he got disqualified from the Grand Prix. So there have been a few occasions where drivers have been complaining about that, but usually the owners and admins just disqualify them.
So Canvahoon does pit from the 2nd spot. He's the first one to make a pit stop over the front runners. So we'll see if he can get the undercut. Ryan Hareen should be coming in the next lap, I would imagine.
Clean track ahead, and that's very good for Canvahoon's sake. And now Kevin Harrison and Ryan Hareen have to react quickly because he's going to be around 8, 9 tenths quicker each lap. With fresher tires, of course.
And Wassman just ran the fastest lap of this race at a 1:24.2. We're watching Ryan Hareen. Want to see if he dives into the pits this time by. Relatively short pit stop delta here, only about 18 to 20 seconds.
Can I interrupt you for a second? I got a message in the live stream from Brandon Glover. Harry Cooper will be disqualified from the Grand Prix, and that comes from the admin of IRL. So thank you very much, Brandon Glover, for wanting that for the IRL live stream.
So that is from an admin himself. So effectively, Harry Cooper will be disqualified from this race. So we will not monitor him any longer. He's essentially black flagged. Effectively, Kevin Harrison will be running in the second spot, and he is going to dive into the pits. So where's Canville Hoon in all of this? Canville Hoon going to be the one to watch.
He's coming towards the final corners. I think he's going to jump him. He's close enough. He's going to jump Ryan Huvin and Kevin Harrison. He's going to get P1 or P2 because of the Red Bull not fitting, but...
Hareen is already leaving pit road. It's actually going to be really close. And I don't think he got it. Oh, he's right on his tail. Hareen comes out in front. Great pit stop by the Williams team to get him back out in front. And we've got ourselves a virtual safety car. I am not 100% sure as to why.
Probably James Yacht spinning. That might be the reason why VSC came. But that VSC saved Van Huyn because he was with cold tires, and Canby Hoon would have had a slipstream. So
and James Yacht has lost his front wing, and it looks like we lost Cameron Armstrong. So his car goes ghosts, and that'll do it for Cameron Armstrong. He'll be done for the day. James Yacht looks like he's pulling off into the grass, letting another car go by. You know, for what it's worth, though, James Yacht, as much as he is struggling, I mean, we've already lost 2 cars. Jack Mia not racing. Cameron Armstrong just left, so that's a free spot. Harry Cooper's been disqualified, so that's another free spot. You know, if this race becomes a race of attrition and James Yacht is able to survive it, he could find himself... Oh, and Jared Fosbury's just retired from the session. What happened to him?
Corner 1, I believe corner 1. You can see from the full map, corner 1, Valtteri Bottas corner, he hit the wall, and that's if FIA are going to be smart, they're going to bring out this full safety car. The car is in the middle of the track, so... Well, it doesn't look like FIA are going to bring the safety car, but it's right in the middle of the track where we retired.
And here we go, he's going to be coming through now, and yeah, it is, yeah, that's an odd place to leave the car. So, as I was just saying, if James Yacht can survive the race, he could find himself in a points-paying position despite the difficulties he's had throughout the course of this race. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead continues, and there's another yellow flag in Sector 1.
Javed's car.
And here comes, look at this, all the way down to the grass, Canville Hoon to the inside. And he's finally going to get, and he's going to push. He's going to push Ryan Hareen wide. Now, Harry Cooper's car there is running in second spot. He does not count.
I can understand why he doesn't retire, because I believe if you don't obey the admins when they say you should retire, you're going to get race ban for the next races, I believe, or qualifying bans or anything. So he's not doing good for his own sake. Or not just admitting, okay, I retired, I take it like a man, retire, and focus on the next race. But
that's a very good point, and I agree with you 100%. The problem is that it's Harry Cooper, and Cooper, as good of a driver as he is, on a personal level, he does like to buck the system a little bit. So he's going to try and gamble, and you know, I'm sure at the end of the race he'll try and defend his decision. But I mean, ultimately, I mean, we've heard it from Brandon Glover.
Yeah.
You know, he's done for the session. Jared Fosbury said he lost the rear.
James Yacht in the wall.
And James Yacht, at this point, really at this point, I think James should just take his chances and put on a full set of wets and just see if he can make laps.
Yeah. Yeah, he has nothing to lose, so why not?
Thomas Mumford did just get around. Thomas Mumford did just get around Joe Hollis as I try to figure out what's going on, picking up a lot of time penalties on the bottom of the screen, too. V8 Field just picked up a 3-second time penalty. James Yacht, another 10-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits. I'm also trying to monitor what's going on here between the top 3 because Harry Cooper obviously not supposed to be a part of this battle, so there is effectively, Kevin Harrison is running in third and closing in on his championship contender, Ryan Hareen. So there is a battle for second that is starting to materialize here. And a great run for Sean O'Sullivan. He's up to what is effectively the 4th position in this race. right now running all by his lonesome. He's 5 seconds behind Kevin Harrison, but he's 13 seconds, 14 seconds out in front of Luis Wassman.
Exactly, and I'm really afraid of what Harvey Cooper will do, because if he causes any silly business, if he causes any damage for the drivers, it's not going to be good for him. So at this point, he's like a liability right now and big risk for the drivers in front of him.
Absolutely. Very well said, Harry Cooper. I mean, he does find himself in a precarious position where, as you said earlier, he should definitely do the right thing and retire from the session altogether and be done with it. And with Joe Hollis, who has just had a good run going, and the safety car is out. And he has gone off at turn 1.
Safety car came, but there's no... Who is going to pit? Because there's only 4 3-lap tires, but that's still 15% or 20%. So I think we can see like people like Louis Wassman, Mumford, who have 5-6 lap old tires, they're going to pit for fresh sinners. Like, when safety car comes, you should basically pit for new winners.
Well, now would be the time. Now would be the perfect time for Harry Cooper to pull into the pits and retire the car. Given the circumstances. So it looks like turn 1 is going to be this week's Calamity Corner. That is called out a number of drivers so far. Obviously, James Jock has had a number of issues in that corner today. Jared Fosbury, and now not Cameron Armstrong, but Joe Hollis got called out on it.
And nobody's pitting at the moment. Doesn't look like it, which is quite strange, but maybe the intermediates don't. Well, they are. After 4 laps, it's about 15-20%, which is probably still 3 to 4 tenths each lap. So, as we have Louis Wassman actually pitting, he's taking the risk. He's doing all of that. That's a right strategy. You pit when safety car comes, you take fresh sinners, you're going to be the fastest in the grid. That's what you do.
Yeah, I mean, it is obviously the most opportunistic time to try and pit. Considering the gap that Wassman had, he's not going to really lose any position on track. And the little bit of position that he does lose. In fact, I don't think he lost a spot. I think he pitted from 7th and comes out 7th.
Very smart. Very smart pit stop. Very smart pit stop. And drivers ahead are going to have, after safety car leaves, 7 to 6 lap old tires. So don't count out Louis Wassman for the win of the fight yet. Don't count him out yet. It's not over until the fat lady sings.
Obviously, the story of the day, unfortunately, is Harry Cooper, who is still circulating around the course here, effectively disqualified from this session. And as you said, if he causes any funny business with the front runners, especially championship contenders, because he's got Ryan Hareen and Kevin Harrison up there with him. I mean, any type of championship implications, he could find himself easily with a league ban, not just a race ban. So.
Yeah. And we have James York trying to lap the safety car, but he has to lap it for one more time. He's 2 laps behind the safety car, so he has to draw pedal to the metal, proving and grooving, shaking and baking. He has to few more times to overtake this field to be back in the game. But yeah, Harry Cooper. I mean, what would happen? Like, imagine, like if. Can Behoon spins because Harvey Cooper puts a pressure on him, even though Harvey Cooper won't even touch him or make contact with him. But if Can Behoon spins and says, "Oh, Harvey Cooper was like pressurizing me, I lost my car," what's going to happen to Harvey Cooper? Of course, he's going to get a race ban for maybe the rest of the season. So I think it's
honestly, given the circumstances, and if anybody could relay it to the drivers, at this point, if Harry's not going to retire the car. Honestly, Can should just let him go by and pull a gap and just let him go. Because even if Harry wins the race, it's not going to count. So let Harry go. Don't let him be a part of the battle and just race as if he wasn't on track. That's unfortunately
exactly
the best thing we could possibly do at this point. But I don't know if there's a way to relay that to the drivers, but that's what should be done.
That's a very good opinion, and that's a very good thing. But there's another problem if he does that. What if Harry Cooper starts slowing nobody down, and then he's going to ruin the fight for the win? That might be the other risk.
It is a double-edged sword that we're unfortunately walking on, and the blade is Harry Cooper himself. So,
yeah, I think I don't want to go on personal level, but I really don't agree with this, and I think it's quite foolish. Basically, the other. I don't care how fast you are, how good you are. You should respect the rules, obey the rules, and just don't be this childish.
And I think IRL has done a very, very good job of trying to instill and institute fair rules that everybody has to abide by. They're very keen on, you know, how many stewards they have. Obviously, there's a lot of admins that work behind the scenes on stuff like this. And again, I don't want to take it to a personal level either, but when you do something like this and you stay out on track and you know the rules, it's kind of a smack to the face of the admins and everybody that runs the league.
Exactly.
I mean, at this point, I can honestly say Harry Cooper probably is looking at least a race ban going into the next round. He's obviously disqualified from this race already. It's a shame that there's so many people that put a lot of time and effort into a league like IRL to have something like this happen during a race.
Yeah, exactly. And we have to remember IRL is one of the biggest league in PS4, and the main thing is to have a good reputation. And of course, these kind of things, some drivers are still going to put videos and pictures to the Twitter or social media, and it's going to put the league's like reputation a little bit down. It's kind of the same like you make a working contract. You sign a contract, you obey the contract, and if you break the contract, you're hasta la vista, you're out of the workplace, you're out of the basketball team, you're out of the sports team. It's basically the same here. You sign a contract, you join the league, you respect the rules, you don't do this stuff. It's, like you said.
Now, I can't imagine that Harry Cooper is in a chat all by himself. I'm sure somebody has told him at some point to retire in the car.
I was in a chat with them. There's about 10, 11 people who are in this race. 6 people are in the same party in this race, so they probably said to him, but yeah.
And I'm getting word from Jared Fosbury that Chipsman Crunchy will be disqualified for unlapping himself under the safety car. Harry will only be disqualified as it stands right now. That's up to the admins. It's not necessarily what I agree with, but that's why I'm just a commentator.
That's why we're here, and they're doing their job there. Our opinions are...
So as it stands now, he's only disqualified from the race, but obviously that could change. So safety cars in. We're going to go back to green flag racing. Looks like Dylan Jenkins has left the session. Chipsman Crunchy was disqualified in game for unlapping himself under the safety car. And we've got a mixture of cars going on here in the back. 3-4 car battle. Oh, and this is O'Sullivan diving to the inside of Harrison to try and get that position. Yellow flag sector 1 again.
Massive crash between Lewis Wassman and Cameron Armstrong.
Oh, it looks like Wassman comes out of there unscathed. Oh, no, that's not Wassman. That was Nelson Santos I picked up. Wassman does not come out unscathed.
Yeah, New Zealand Cam turned on him, and then New Zealand Cam used...
And so Kevin Harrison still running in the 3rd spot. Manages to get away from O'Sullivan a little bit. O'Sullivan closes up under braking. And there's a little bit of a gap now between Can Vilhoen and Ryan Hareen. About 1.5 seconds. Harrison trying to close up on that battle, though.
Yeah. I'm really surprised about Kevin Harrison's rain pace. He hasn't been there here today. That he's not the rain master we've used to seeing in the previous seasons. So maybe the Germany is not a good track for him, even though it's raining. But I'm a little bit disappointed on Kevin Harrison's performance in this Grand Prix.
I mean, he put on a huge show last year in Mexico, where he ran an alternate tire strategy and ran a great wet race. And I think he even held you off for the win at Mexico last season. So, I mean, definitely has got some wet weather prowess. But, yeah, I mean, not quite up to his caliber today, for sure.
Actually, I won the race. He held me up, but I was able to overtake him because I was in the 2-stop, he was in the 1-stop. But he did hold me up for a long time. So I'm very, very disappointed in that case. It's not the Kevin Harrison I know at this point.
And it looks
it's
like
either he has championship hangover or I don't know. I don't know what it is.
The V8 field and Nelson Santos battling it out for the 7th spot. They're side by side as they come out of the hairpin. V8 trying to get the power down, but the back end of that car looks very squirrely. Oh, he goes to the inside, almost clips the Alfa Romeo of Nelson Santos. That was very close.
Oh, I got a heart attack from that. I was pretty sure that's going to be a crash. I was so sure that was going to be a crash. Jesus Christ. Hey, we have 4 cars basically fighting for the win. We have Kevin Harrison, Ryan Herren, and Ken Vihoon fighting for the win. And penalties are gonna play a big part. But of course, we don't want to know what the penalties are. We don't want to spoil it. We don't want to know what's gonna happen. We want to be excited for the rest of the race.
Well, and Harrison just ran the fastest lap of this race, so maybe he heard us talking about him and he's turned up the wick on that car just a little bit. And he does have, I do know that he does have at least 1 3-second time penalty that's going to affect him at the end of this race. So he really needs to put the pedal down and get in front of these guys and see if he can gap some of these cars to make up for that 3-second time penalty.
Exactly. And now, interesting to see Harry Cooper right behind of Ken Vihoon. Let's see what he's going to do. But it looks like Harry Cooper is going to stay behind of Ken Vihoon, so he's not really trying to dive bomb him.
And Sean O'Sullivan is now closed up on the gearbox of Kevin Harrison, so realistically, O'Sullivan could be looking at a podium finish, and he's done a really good job this year. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but he's in the top 10 in points for only being a reserve driver. So generally when he races, he finishes in the points. He's very consistent. So good on him, putting on a good show today.
Very good, so and we saw it a little bit last season. I remember Wasser, he was leading race until he DNF'd, so he's not a bad driver, you know. When he has a good day, then he's always performing well. And as you said, if he would just attend a little bit more races, he would be easily in the championship fight. So very impressive driver, very consistent and very smart driver.
And Ryan Reed just ran the fastest lap of this race with a 1:23.657. So he is trying to close that gap down to Ken Vihoon for the lead of this race, but he's bringing Kevin Harrison and Sean O'Sullivan with him. And it's interesting to see that these guys haven't really been able to separate themselves. You know, the drivers haven't been able to gain on each other at all. They all seem to be running very similar lap times.
Yeah, they're running really similar lap times. That's because they have same amount of tires. I mean, the wear of the tires is the same. It's wet weather. They're using the same setups, usually 4, 9, 5, 10 wings, and that means they're gonna drive really similar lap times in rain. And of course, most of these drivers are with a controller, and as we know, controller is very, very consistent in Formula 1 games, what Codemasters make. So that explains also a lot.
And now Harrison, he's all over the gearbox of Herren as they head into the stadium section.
Yeah, he needs to get past very quickly, 1.6 seconds, I mean 1.9 seconds to Ken Vihoon, so Kevin Harrison has to get past him. And of course, Ryan Herren, one of the drivers who is in a championship fight with D. Johnnis and Kevin Harrison, so technically championship rivals battling each other. And of course that fastest lap is not going to count towards the end of the race.
That's a very good point, too. Harry Cooper did just run the fastest lap of the race, but because he's disqualified, it will not count. So as it stands, Kevin Harrison, I believe, still has the fastest lap of this race. Actually, no, it was Ryan Herren who did it a lap later, so Ryan Herren still holds the fastest lap of this race.
Look at Harry Cooper. Harry Cooper is going side by side with Ken Vihoon.
Meanwhile, behind them, Harrison and Herren going side by side. And Harrison trying to go around the outside. Herren taking that defensive line, and now they're side by side coming out of the hairpin. Harrison tucks back in. And it does look like Harry Cooper has gotten out in front of... Oh no, and Harrison gets touched. He went side by side and around he goes.
Damn it. That's quite unfortunate, and yeah, that's a bad thing, and his teammate is going to overtake him, and...
Oh no, his teammate, they clip.
Not the best race for Kevin Harrison, definitely. Yeah.
Luis Wassman just ran the fastest lap of this race. So now Sean O'Sullivan finds himself possibly battling for the second spot.
Yeah, if he gets past Ryan Herren, he's going to be P2 in this race. So, and heck, if Ken Vihoon has a penalty, then we might see a first race for Sean O'Sullivan. Who knows?
The laps are winding down on lap 30 of 34.
As we have, I'm gonna check some comments. We have Langfield riding, looked like a desync between the Alphas, and then Cameron Armstrong riding I got turned on, so his race, Lieutenant Cam's race, Cameron Armstrong's race, was ruined because of that.
And this race has definitely become a race of attrition. Essentially, we started the race essentially with 16 drivers. Jack Mia left the qualifying session, never came back. His car retired in the pits early on, never even left the track. But we've lost Dylan Jenkins, Joe Hollis, Jared Fosbury, Jamie Griffiths, Sam Thompson, James Yock was disqualified, and essentially Harry Cooper's disqualified. So really 9 cars left remaining out of the 16 that started the race.
Yeah, that's what rain does to you. When you put heavy rain in Germany, in the tracks, most people in the game don't even practice rain racing, so in time trial or in the practice sessions. So that's why you see so many DNFs, driver mistakes, and so on and so on. So you have to put your time on the rain practice also, on the cases like this.
You know, Sullivan hasn't really been able to close up that gap. Meanwhile, Nelson Santos is closing in on Thomas Mumford for the 4th spot.
Started P13 and is now in P5, so very good job from the Alfa Romeo driver.
I wonder if there's any team orders between Santos and Harrison.
No,
let Harrison
they're not in the
buy
same
for
party. They're not in the same party, no, there's not going to be team orders.
That's a shame for Kevin Harrison, who's struggling today. Santos to the inside, though, of Mumford. Not close enough to make the move. But Harrison is able to close up under braking to those two.
Oh, I have a new message from Jared Fosbury. Also, Kelvin is also getting disqualified for the same reason as Harry. So, Kelvin has disconnected.
Breaking news.
Kelvin has disconnected at some point and rejoined, so we have 2 disqualifications, Kelvin and Harry Cooper.
So Kelvin, that is PSC Kelvin, that is Nelson Santos, so he is going to be done as well. Unbelievable. So now Kevin Harrison finds himself running in 6th.
Oh, P5th. Well, 5th because Harry Cooper and Kelvin, P5.
What a crazy race. As I said earlier, Hockenheim in this game never leaves me, wanting more.
No, I think never in my life of league racing I've seen so many disqualifications that I have seen here today.
I mean, I'm going to have to just try and make notes just to try and see who's going to even finish the race at this point.
At this point, we're going to have Cameron Armstrong, Lewis Wassman winning P1 and P2, and the rest are disqualified at this point. But maybe some retirements are going to get P3, who knows?
So Harrison getting to the inside of Santos, and it looks like he's going to try and go for the 2-for-1 deal. Down to the inside, he out-brakes Mumford. Can he get the power down?
He has the better line. I think he's going to be able to make it.
And he's got it going into the next corner. Kevin Harrison taking that spot back, gets the 2-for-1 special. Let's see if he can close that gap to Sean O'Sullivan.
So to drop out one, Hareen has caught up to Canby Hoon, so we'll have battle for the win. And we have also Sean O'Sullivan less than 7/10 from these 2 drivers. So we have 3-car battle for the win of the Grand Prix.
Unbelievable. Canville Hoon, subsequently the leader of this race. He has got Ryan Hareen breathing down his neck, Sean O'Sullivan breathing down his neck.
He's not catching up there still. It's always 8/7/10, so...
That's like we said earlier. It's like they just can't gain on each other for whatever reason. It's similar setups, obviously similar tires, similar lap count on the tires.
Similar setups, no DRS, no slipstream. That's what the effect is when you don't have slipstream in power tracks. It's very difficult to overtake. So even though DRS gets a lot of bad reputation in Formula 1, it still allows overtakes to happen. So, and it would be interesting to have DRS in a rain. Like, I'd watch that.
So the lap's winding down, the penultimate lap of this race. Canville Hoon getting ready to come across here in the next few corners as he heads into the stadium section. And Hoon trying to hold off Ryan Hareen and Sean O'Sullivan. Watsman just ran the fastest lap of this race. 1:22.927. So he's the first driver to crack into the 1:22s here in the wet conditions. Here comes Ken Vilhoun. He's going to start the final lap of this race.
It only takes one mistake, and the leader of the Grand Prix is going to change. The last lap is the most painful lap for the leading car. You've been leading the whole race, you've been controlling the gap, but then you have two cars pressurizing you behind. The worst case scenario driver can have in the last lap, actually. And we have seen many times drivers ball it in the last lap.
And it looks like O'Sullivan got a really good run coming out of that corner. He's in the slipstream of Ryan Horan's car, but it doesn't look like he's going to get close enough to make a move. Heading down to the hairpin, he dives out. Ooh, and he's going to try. He thought about it. He wiggled back and forth a couple of times, and Horan did the same thing. Horan closed up on the back of Ken Vilhoun.
This is the last chance to overtake. Nah, he couldn't make it.
A three-car train for the lead of this race. And again, timing penalties are going to be an issue at the end of this race. I'm not sure who's got what, so everything's still going to be jumbled up, I'm sure.
Yeah, it can be any of these drivers who might be winning this race. Just have to wait and see.
Through the stadium section, last couple of corners, as long as Ken Vilhoun can hold it together. So Harry Cooper's going to come across the line first. He's not going to get credited with the win because he's disqualified. Here comes Ken Vilhoun. We're going to see what happens between these three drivers. Vilhoun. Oh, Ryan Horan takes the win. O'Sullivan finds himself in second because of time penalties. Vilhoun's going to essentially drop to third. Kevin Harrison will come across in fourth. Thomas Mumford is going to be sixth. Nelson Santos, actually, Thomas Mumford will be fifth. Nelson Santos doesn't count. So V8 Field will find himself finishing in the sixth position.
Cameron Armstrong, P7.
And Luis Wassman going to be coming across. He's going to have a better points day than he anticipated at the start of this race. What a wacky and wild race this has been. And Wassman obviously well off of the pace. He's just now entering the stadium section. So if we take out Cooper and Nelson,
P8.
P8 for Luis Wassman, who started well up in the field at the beginning of his race. But Ryan Horan with a surprise win, and I know Kevin Harrison's going to be kicking himself for the race that he had today. And Horan did exactly what he needed to do with T. Jonas out, close that points gap. He's now within striking distance in the championship point standings.
The gap is now 14 points, so now Ryan Horan jumps ahead of Kevin Harrison in P2, and he's 14 points behind only of T. Jonas. So very good day for Ryan Horan.
So there is Harry Cooper. He will not get a IRL F2 win. He has been disqualified from the session. Ryan Horan is your unofficial winner. So we will try and get that all straight.
Yeah, I'm just gonna suggest play these drivers for you, and we're gonna hear the interviews in just a second.
So here are the unofficial results of today's Grand Prix. Harry Cooper has been disqualified, so Ryan Horan is your winner. Sean O'Sullivan is second. Ken Vilhoun is third. Kevin Harrison is fourth. Thomas Mumford fifth. Cameron Armstrong is going to be sixth because Nelson Santos is disqualified. And V8 Field moves into seventh. Luis Wassman is eighth. Dylan Jenkins, Joe Hollis, Jared Fosbury, Jamie Griffith, Sam Thompson, and Chips Man Crunchy, that's James Yock, all out of today's race.
And I would actually say this race was very, very interesting, very controversial. Even the worst Hollywood riders in the world couldn't script this stuff. These disqualifications, retirements, James Yacht's hard strategy with the hard tires. We saw everything. We saw excitement. This was like a comedy film times 100. This was like unbelievable.
Well, let me see if I can get these drivers in here for some interviews, given today's events. Really a wacky and wild race, like you said. And if I could get my PlayStation to work. See if we can get them in here.
There we go. Hopefully they're gonna come. That's the thing, but I would say my driver of the day would have to be Ryan Huyn. Very, very great win. Very surprise win. Pole position. Took the win. Good day in the office. Ryan Huyn, my driver of the day.
My driver of the day would have to go to O'Sullivan. Started mid-pack, methodically worked his way through the field. Obviously, he had the benefit of a couple of disqualifications, but again, I think as a reserve driver and not doing this full-time, a great run today for O'Sullivan. So he gets my vote for driver of the day. Unfortunately, not the driver of the day would be Kevin Harrison. I mean, he did finish in fourth position, but not the Kevin Harrison that we've come to know, especially in wet weather conditions.
Nah, very disappointing day for him. So many mistakes here today, and not the way you're going to win the championships. If Kevin Harrison is not going to able to win the championship this season, and someday in the future he's going to watch these races back, there's a very good reason why he didn't win the championship this season.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of the races that Kevin Harrison's going to want back. I mean, and like I said, a couple of weeks ago we interviewed him. He said he thinks he could benefit from a wet weather race and it would help him close the points gap. And he got what he wanted. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to capitalize on it, especially with T. Jonas not able to be with the race today.
Yeah, he had a very great chance of closing the gap, 25 points to the leader, and then you make mistakes like this. You're stuck behind of a car who's lost his whole end plate. Then you make mistakes in the rain. Then you're 3-4 tenths slower than rest of the drivers. I just don't know. That's the driver level shouldn't drop that much, because the level in the field is basically the same what it was last season. And last season Kevin Harrison did win the championship, as you said, but maybe when you win that first championship, then usually, you think you're the best in the league, best in the division, and then you start to feel like, I'm in the top of the world. You walk in your high cloud, and then someday the horse is going to kick you in the face and just say, get back to the ground, and you have to earn it once again.
And as it stands, IRL, if things continue to play out the way that they have, IRL will not have a first-time defending champion. Obviously, Kevin Harrison won last year's Formula 2 championship, and the year before that it was Jared Fosbury, and Harrison doesn't look like he's going to be...
And we have Sullivan. We have Sullivan joining today interviews, P2 in today's race.
So, O'Sullivan, Sean, I don't think you're aware of it, but you essentially come home with a podium finish because of the disqualification of Harry Cooper from the race. So you get credited for third today. Actually, I think it was second because of time penalty. So you come home with a podium. How was your race today? Did you expect that at the end of the race? You there, Sean? Well, apparently Sean's having some technical difficulties.
Next race, of course, is going to be Monza. Very good track, long straight lines, and should be, once again, very interesting Grand Prix. But going back to the championship fight, if Sullivan doesn't talk, then I think that the championship, I think Ryan Huyn is going to win the championship this season. This is from a driver's perspective. He's been all lately, getting podiums, wins, pole positions, except last Grand Prix. So I think one to watch this season is Ryan Huyn.
Well, Monza will certainly be an interesting track. So looks like Sean's having technical difficulties and nobody else is going to join us for interviews. So I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this up for now. So guys, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. Get caught up on all the previous races from prior seasons and this season. You can check out F1, F2, and F3 races. Be sure to like us and follow us on Twitter at F1_IRL. And as you said, next week we'll be at Monza. I'm KAMIKAZE-FOX. I've had Eric Pentington with me today, and we will see you all at the next round.